So what Hobbes is doing by painting this kind of picture of human beings, right, is he's shutting the door to most methods that we've historically tried to use to establish a common morality. Right? He wants to make a fairly basic claim about the reason that we're nice to one another. Right? Laying out this situation where my appetites and aversion and ability to reason, calculate threat and advantage, lead me to this restless and ceaseless desire for power after power that ceases only in death. We're greedy, selfish, self-interested, nasty creatures. The only reason we're nice to one another is so that we are better able to get what we want. Everything has to do with this sort of admixture of fear. We fear losing what we've got, and desire. We want more. We constantly want more. Right? So, what he's done in this section on manners, right, chapter 11, is reduce morality, right, to a selfish calculation. Right? In chapter 12, he does something similar with religion. Right? In this section on religion, he points out that only humans can consider religiously. Right? Now, considering, right, a creation story, an origin story, conceiving of a god, that sort of thing, basically requires that we be rational creatures. And the only rational creatures that we know of are humans. Right? And it's only humans that inquire into the nature of causes within this faculty of reason, and we're able to, from an understanding of these causes, anticipate future events, actions, and in general, right, the motion of objects in the world. Right? Now, there are three reasons that Hobbes points to, right, why we would come to a belief in some sort of God, right? And he's pointing this out to, again, close the door to any sort of moral solution to this situation that we find ourselves in. And they are, right? Humans are inquisitive into the natures of causes as they affect their good or evil fortune. So, right, a tornado destroys my house, right? A forest fire destroys the forest I depend on for livelihood or food or lumber or what have you. I say, gee, why'd that happen? Right? Secondly, when we see that something has a beginning, we search for the cause in which that thing got its beginning. Right? So we see that we exist. Well, where did we come from? Our parents. Where did our parents come from? Their parents, and so on and so forth. Right? But then we realize that we're all contingent beings. Right? And where did this entire cycle come into its beginning? Right? Well, this leads us to the idea of a God, a first cause that set everything in motion. Right? And then finally, and most tellingly here, right, when we can't be sure of the true causes of events that affect our fortune, and Hobbes claims that events of this sort are for the most part invisible to us, right, we either create invisible forces to explain these events or take the authority of other people in the form of explanations. Right? So we either create some sort of a talking tree or an imp or something along those lines to explain why our fortune went that way, some sort of divinity that nobody's ever seen, right? In order to offer a causal explanation in the absence of a concrete and verifiable causal explanation. Or we accept the stories that we're told because we don't have a better explanation. Right? Where did the universe start? Oh, it's God. Right? This is Hobbes' account. Right? Remember, he's an empiricist, and the faculty of reason only calculates cause and effect, threat and advantage. Right? Now, basically, each of these reasons, right, why we would believe in a God, right, have to do with fear of our own ignorance and the desire to know the causes of events that affect our happiness. Right? But as an institution, religion must know that it doesn't really have all the answers. Right? This is why it falls back on faith. But what Hobbes wants to analyze in terms of religion is not so much the belief, the faith, the existence of God. He's not concerned with this. He's more concerned with the institutionalized religions. And what he points out is that there is a specific function that the institutional religions serve, right? And he points out that organized religion is there to keep the people in obedience and peace, right? And there are three main issues that arise if you are the institutor of an institutionalized religion. First off, right, the people cannot suspect that it is the caretakers of religion that give rise to the precepts of that religion, but rather they must believe that these dictates come from some sort of a God. Right? So if I'm making a decision, right, and I'm the leader of an organized religion, it's not my decision. Right? It's the Word of God. Right? The people organizing these religions can't have the people suspect that the organizers are actually leading the religions. Otherwise, this undermines their faith in the religion. Secondly, right, these people that organize these religions have to make it believe that the same things that go against the law displease the gods. What does this do? Right? Well, perhaps it's against the law to do X, but nobody's looking, so I can get away with it. Right? But you've got a concept of a God, an all-seeing, all-knowing, all-judging, all-good God. Right? Then, even when the law is not looking, God's watching. Right? So this keeps me in obedience, right? Even when in situations where I'm not going to get caught. Right? And then third, right? Ultimately, these organizers of religion should impose ceremonies that are said to please the gods, the neglect of which is said to displease the gods, as to blame state trouble directly on the piety or impiety of the population of the Commonwealth rather than on the leadership. Right? So, if things aren't going well, it's because of the citizens' immorality. It's not because the leaders are unjust. Right? So already in Hobbes, we see that he is laying out a rather absolutist conception, right, of justice and injustice, and he's basically laying out a power structure, right, that he claims is going to be there for our own good. Why would we subscribe or allow somebody to wield this kind of power over us? Well, remember, simple, nasty, selfish, greedy creatures driven by appetite and aversion through reason, or calculation of our own best interest of threat and advantage, and being power hungry, right? This restless and ceaseless desire for power after power that ceases only in death. Well, Hobbes asks us to consider a situation in which there were not laws. A situation in which, right, if you were attacked by somebody, you would be on your own to defend yourself. Right? A situation in which we did not have a commonwealth, a political body, a legal body to protect us from one another. And imagine if we are this kind of selfish, self-interested, greedy little bugger of a creature. All of us. Right? What's the natural concept, or conclusion from this conception of human nature? Stripping away culture, government, police, law, all of those trappings, we wind up in what Hobbes calls a state of nature, right, which he describes as a perpetual war, right, of each of us against the rest of us. Right?